We all love to talk about new cameras or lenses, but from a practical standpoint, the things that make the biggest difference for day-to-day shooting are the accessories. These are the little tools you need to create videos that can really make or break your workflow. If something is complicated or frustrating to use, you'll just end up adding a lot of time to your entire shooting process. That's why in this video I want to show you my top 5 best accessories for video creators in 2025. I'm going to go over the various items and explain why I think they're a must for videographers, followed by my favorite products in these categories that I found to be the most practical ones. And before we start, I usually talk about my approach to photography on this channel, so if you're here for that, this video might not be for you and I'll see you in the next one. But since my day job is mostly focused on video production and many people seem to like my video style, I thought it would be helpful to share the things that have proven themselves as rock solid options for a one-man video creator like myself. I think the first step for getting better looking videos is to follow the 180-degree shutter rule. This will give you natural looking motion blur and will instantly set your videos apart from those shot on the phone. And to achieve the 1/50th of a second shutter speed, you'll need some ND filters to limit the amount of light hitting your sensor. Personally, I prefer to work with variable ND filters or VNDs, since changing filters all the time can be a tedious task. With VNDs, you can adjust exposure simply by turning the filter without ever having to remove it or switch to a different strength. There are many different filters on the market, from super cheap to really expensive ones. But I found the Swift system from NiSI gives you the best results when it comes to color accuracy. This system is designed around a VND that ranges from 1 to 5 stops, and you can stack different filters on top of it, such as a 4-step ND filter which expands the VND to 5 to 9 stops, a mist filter, or even a circular polarizer. In my opinion, color accuracy should be your top priority when choosing a filter system. If you use a filter on one clip that enforces a heavy color cast, it can add hours to your post-production trying to match it to other clips shot without the filter. And right now I think there is no variable ND on the market that can compete with the color accuracy of the NiSI True Color VND. And just so you know, NiSI recently released the new ZHIYUN Pro system, which is basically a much thinner version of the Swift system, using magnets instead of friction to stack multiple filters together. However, as it stands today, there isn't an option for a VND in the ZHIYUN system yet. But as soon as it gets released, I'll probably trade in my Swift system for the new ZHIYUN Pro system. Another essential accessory for video shooters is a camera cage along with some additional handles. A cage gives you extra mounting options for items like handles or monitors, and they often come with built-in Arca Swiss plates, so you can easily attach the camera to a tripod or gimbal. However, if you plan on shooting handheld video, stability becomes very important, and I'd advise you to invest in both a side and a top handle. A top handle is ideal for low-angle shots while keeping your camera nicely balanced. It's also the place where you would typically attach an external monitor. And the side handle provides an extra secure point of contact when using the camera handheld. And for all of you who shoot a lot of vertical content, a side handle is pretty much mandatory to move from an awkward hand placement to a stable shooting position. And the very kind people from FALCAM sent me this cage for my C8 along with these handles and a few accessories to test out. And after using them for the past few weeks, I have to say this is by far the best cage system I've ever used. As you'd expect, everything is made with extreme precision and fits the camera perfectly. You get your standard 1/4 inch mounting points around the cage and an additional cold shoe mount on top. But what really sets this system apart from offerings from SmallRig or Tilta is that FALCAM has its own F22, F38 and F50 quick release system integrated into the cage. This means you don't have to attach additional rails or plates. The cage itself allows you to directly mount handles or put the camera on a tripod. Accessories from FALCAM compatible with the F system also come with locking pins. You simply slide them on to lock them in place and remove them by pressing the release button. With other cages I've used so far, you had to attach extra NATO rails or tripod plates, and handles often had to be screwed directly onto the cage, which took forever to remove. Personally, I find the system so convenient because as a hybrid shooter, I often have to quickly switch between photo and video and adapt my gear often. And the F38 rails actually fit the Arca Swiss standard, so you can use your usual tripod heads. But there are also many accessories from FALCAM itself, including tripods, quick release replacements for your gimbal, or even adapters for your typical NATO rail gear. So you can use them directly in the FALCAM ecosystem. So be sure to check out the link in the description if you're interested. The cage for the C8 even offers two F38 mounting points on each side, so you can easily mount your camera in portrait orientation on a tripod or gimbal. And I also particularly like that the cage is super solid yet constructed from multiple pieces, so you can disassemble it and be left with just the base plate if you want to downsize your gear. And I have heard that some users have reported that the camera wobbles a bit in the cage because there's only a single connection point between the camera and the cage itself. And that was initially also my biggest concern. However, the secret lies in using these washers for the bottom screw. And with using the washers, I never got any movement of the camera at all. And after using the gear for the past few weeks for my professional work, I'm really convinced by this system, as it is the fastest, most compatible cage system on the market. I even told FALCAM that I will mention anything that I don't like in this video, but I have nothing negative to report. Although you could argue that the cage is a bit beefier than other models to incorporate all those extra rails. For my Leica M11, I like to use a strap to carry it, but for video shooting I don't like anything dangling off my camera, so a strap is not really an option for me there. But I often encounter situations where I need both hands, and that's where one of these backpack clips come into play. This clip attaches to the shoulder strap of your backpack, and with the right base plate lets you quickly mount your camera to your bag, so you have both arms free. I don't really use this to carry my camera in the traditional sense, but rather in situations where I need both of my hands and don't want to stow my camera in my backpack or put it on the ground, for example. And again, these clips come from many different manufacturers, but I found the one from FALCAM to be the most convincing solution. Unlike other manufacturers, where you would basically just press two metal plates together and squeeze the shoulder strap in between, the quick release kit from FALCAM secures with cords. Not only does this make the clip quickly removable if you want to use it on another bag, but it also prevents a metal plate from digging into your shoulder when using the clip. And since it's also compatible with their F38 system, you can either attach the regular base plate to your camera or simply slide in the FALCAM cage. And this is a big deal because with other camera clips you had to use very specific plates that you would fit onto the cage, making the camera base really unbalanced. I always find it kind of amusing when people realize the huge impact good lighting can make in the video. And I really can't emphasize the importance of artificial light enough for video. When using just daylight as your key light, you inevitably get variations in brightness throughout your video. And when you start cutting clips with different brightness levels together, the end result can be very distracting. This is why I think for longer takes, your key light should always be something you can control. Personally, I rarely shoot in a studio and I also travel a lot, so I was looking for small but powerful lights and found the MOLUS series from ZHIYUN. The MOLUS X100 is a 100 watt bicolor light, meaning you get one knob to adjust the brightness and another one to adjust white balance from 2500 up to 6500 Kelvin. This small light is powerful enough to be used as a key light. You can either use the small dome for a powerful handheld light or attach a softbox via the standard Bowens adapter. You can power the light with USB-C over plug-in power or a power bank, but there's also the option to use this kind of battery grip which will last around 50 minutes at full power. This little light is so versatile and literally fits in your pocket, so there's just no reason not to bring it along. The Bowens adapter is a bit flimsy, but I still use it as my key light even for my YouTube videos because it's so easy to set up, and the fact that it can be powered with the same cable I use to charge my laptop makes it just perfect for on-location use. The MOLUS X60 is like the little brother to the X100. The main difference aside from the design is that it only outputs 60 watt of power but offers full RGB color instead. However, since its fan is considerably smaller than the one from the X100, it is more audible, whereas the MOLUS X100 remains really quiet even at full power. So with just these two lights you can create a professional lighting setup on the go, with the X100 working as a key light and the X60 serving as a perfect fill or rim light. As you may know, audio makes up around 50% of a video, especially when you have someone talking to the camera. Audio quality has a far greater impact than the video quality itself. And one of the things I struggled with the most as a one-man creator was perfectly setting my audio levels. You want to set your levels high enough to get clear, noise-free audio, but low enough so you don't clip anything. Often even a slight increase in volume when someone gets excited while talking or turns their head can ruin your recording. But over the past year or so, I made the switch to using only audio gear that can record in 32-bit float. And if you don't know what 32-bit float is, here's a quick rundown. Audio, like video or photos, has a certain dynamic range from the quietest to the loudest sounds you can record. And by dialing in your levels, you set the portion of that range you want to capture. And we can use 32-bit float, which essentially captures more dynamic range than exists, from dead silence to the loudest sounds on earth. You can still technically clip your audio if you overshoot your mic capsule, but you're no longer limited by the dynamic range your recorder can capture. And in practice, this means you don't have to worry about setting your levels in the field. The only thing you need to ensure is that the microphone is close to your subject's mouth. Then you can adjust the levels afterwards in post-production without any losses in quality. You won't add additional noise if you raise the levels, and you can bring back any clipped waveform. For my wireless solution, I use the Rode VideoMic Pro. It comes with a bunch of accessories, including two high-quality lav mics, and besides featuring 32-bit float recording, it also has the option to output a timecode signal to your camera's mic jack, which is helpful for syncing the audio from the recorder to your camera. And for studio scenes, I use the Zoom F3 recorder, which also records 32-bit float audio and has two XLR inputs if you want to use higher quality mics. And unsurprisingly, it can also be powered via USB-C. So these are my top recommendations when it comes to everyday video gear. If you have any recommendations yourself about gear that makes your life easier, please let me know in the comments. But for now, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.